Welcome to New Life Live with Stephen Arterburn. For 35 years, New Life has been transforming lives one at a time, thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's today's host, Chris Williams.
Welcome, New Life family, friends, listeners, wherever you are, whoever you are. We are glad that we're sharing this time and this space with you. And we're deep into, I say deep into, but in my household, we're deep into the holiday season. And it's so awesome and so wonderful. We have our regular movies. We have, Elf, and for me, Christmas Vacation, and It's a Wonderful Life. I love the Polar Express. We have the cookie. It's just all of the things, right? It's really amazing, and it highlights the connection. It highlights the family and the fun and the expectation. And then there's this really difficult thing that happens. In the midst of all of this connection and expectation, of course, busyness and stress and all the other thing, the holidays tend to highlight who is not with us as much as who is with us. This can be a really, really painful, confusing time for us. So, Jill Hubbard, Marc Cameron, how in the world do we navigate the reminders of the losses in the midst of the holiday season?
Yes, so significant events, right? Like you're saying there, Chris, it highlights who's not with us, especially if it's the first Christmas or the first birthday or the first whatever it is, right? And it reminds you of the grief of the loss that you may be experiencing in that moment. And so, it's important to recognize that, right? And to share that with others who may be in your family, who may be experiencing that same loss, to talk about it, to acknowledge it, right? Because that's how we find comfort, is in each other.
Yeah, absolutely. To really lean in. A year ago, the day before Thanksgiving, we lost someone very significant.
Yes.
And we gathered for Thanksgiving, even though people wanted to pull away. And Christmas too, and it was a really meaningful time. But going into this season, I don't want to forget, because people are still hurting, right? It's been a year, but people are still hurting, and that person is still important, those people, and just acknowledging the loss and the missing.
Yeah.
I think, like you were saying.
And especially if somebody does die around the holidays, right? Because our brains work by association. And so even though it's been a year, or even if it's been 10 years, right?
Exactly.
That association triggers us back to some of those old feelings again.
Yeah. Well, and like you guys are saying, it's important that we just recognize it. It's a thing, and it's real. And it's actually really important. And I get this subtle reminder every time I talk about or give away a Dr. David Stoop book. I'm like, he's this gentle giant is of a person is not with us anymore. And so that's a thing. And there's different levels of that, different significance and impacts of that. And I like what both of you are saying. It's like the natural draw is to isolate, and it's okay. And I'll say it's okay to kind of spend that alone time to gather yourself or to process some things. But it's too dangerous to stay isolated. We must reach out. We must find comfort.
And acknowledging loss doesn't mean, you're not
I'm
over it yet,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It just means that, how significant that person was in your life. And we might acknowledge that loss throughout our whole lives.
Yeah, absolutely. So we pray in the midst of some losses you may experience in this holiday season that you're holding on also to wonderful memories, but you're also processing through and getting the comfort that you need. We're going to go to a break right now. We're going to come back, and we're going to go right to the phones and take your calls.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. Chris Williams, and I'm here with Dr. Jill Hubbard. I'm here with Marc Cameron. Great, wise counsel in the room today. And so, but I also want to mention part of the wise counsel that we provide here at New Life is our Intimacy and Marriage Workshop. Our next one is coming up February 16th in Orange County. And if you have really struggled in your marriage, which is like every marriage, or
yes, and every marriage could use
unless
this
you've been
workshop.
married 1 month, then you haven't struggled yet.
That's right. Or if you're just in a place where you want to take your marriage to the next level, Intimacy and Marriage Workshop, that weekend is a phenomenal place that will take your marriage to the next level for sure. So as we're talking about issues of addressing our marriage and Intimacy in Marriage weekend, one of the things that oftentimes blocks us from our connection to our spouse and our significant others is the things that are happening inside of us. Things that maybe we left unaddressed that show up in these repeated patterns and these repeated struggles that we just haven't been able to leave behind or get over or get through. This is why we've created the Emotional Freedom Intensive. It is to take the cover off, to see what's blocking us, to see what's stopping us inside of ourselves, and so that we can work through it, so that we can become better connectors in the world, so that we can enjoy healthier relationships, and ultimately we can just feel better. We're going to go to Tara in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, listening on WFIL. Tara, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Well, tell us what's going on.
Well, it's too long a story, of course. We don't want to take up a lot of time on the call. But my daughter just tried to commit suicide on Friday.
Oh, my gosh.
She's currently in the hospital.
Yeah.
And we know she needs long-term treatment, even though she's pretty much in denial of a lot of things. Now, she did admit, because this is the second time in 4 months. The first time she took 10 pills, and she said that she wasn't trying to commit suicide. She was only trying to get sleep. And she's still holding to that story. And this time, it was very evident. She admitted it, that she sent emails, and thank God the Lord intervened, because we would have been planning a funeral, but someone found her in the hotel room. She had a plastic bag on her head connected to a heel. And so she was really trying to go. But anyway, the reason I'm calling, we're just trying to see if you have any recommendations for if she agrees, we know she has to agree, but for a long-term Christian-based facility that deals with, because she has hormonal issues, adrenal issues. She's had a few concussions. So we know there's a lot going on with the brain, with her body, chemically, and then trauma. She's suffered a lot of trauma over the past couple of years, especially, excuse me, with a separated husband and different things. So we're just trying to see if you have any recommendations for us. My husband is here as well.
Yeah. Well, for both of you, I am so sorry, because the trauma that happens to our children, and especially the threat of losing a child, is a trauma for us. And so what you guys have been through is absolutely unspeakable. It's really, really difficult. So I do have a couple of suggestions, one in particular, but Jill, what do you think?
Well, there certainly is a lot going on for her that does need to be explored. And obviously, you guys are taking it very seriously. And as much as she is in denial and wanting to perhaps downplay it, I think all of you around her, it's important you take it seriously. And to get to the bottom of it, because if things are off in her brain as a result of a lot of issues you brought up, this could be perpetuating this more extreme reaction. So one of the places we often refer to is the Amen clinics to get a really good picture of her brain, a thorough history. And often people that have been treatment resistant in the past, they're able to pinpoint some things more specifically. So that's one of the places that I would recommend.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and Chris, you're saying that Tara, you guys have been through something hard, but you're still going through something hard. So there's a lot of fear and confusion and maybe even grief happening, right? Grief for your daughter not being adjusted in the way that you'd like her to be at this stage in her life. Does she live with anybody? When she comes home from the hospital, is she going to be going by herself, or is she coming back to your house? Where's she going?
Well, she has her own place, yes, and so we're that's why we as a family we're trying to find a place where she can actually stay if she's willing, for long-term care to help her navigate through. Because my daughter is a workaholic.
Well, I'm wondering too, though, she needs maybe family around her. Even if she comes to stay with you guys for 3 months, or maybe you have the ability to go stay with her, because things are happening, right? She's getting hopeless at some point while she's by herself, and then she's taking these pills, or she's putting a bag over her head. And so it sounds like she needs some kind of stabilization as she comes out of the hospital. Some of that will be, she'll have a psychiatrist and she'll follow up with care, and I'm sure that they'll recommend a good therapist for her. But also just being able to have family around her, having community, because when we have a purpose to live for, oftentimes even when we have those thoughts, that's kind of the protective factor that stops us from doing that. So I would highly recommend trying to figure out a plan that she can either come be with you, or one of you can go be with her for at least a few months to kind of observe and stabilize and be present.
Well, and what I would say is actually a few days. And here's why. There is a place in Florida called Honey Lake Clinics. And Honey Lake Clinics is a residential treatment program that is Christian-based for mental health treatment. And so I would call Honey Lake today and see what their availability is, see if they work with insurance, what all of those arrangements would be. Because obviously your daughter is in a life-threatening situation. The picture of what she is going through internally is layered. I mean, there is traumatic brain injury, there is trauma, there are mental health issues going on. So you're exactly on the right track, Tara. And it's one of the things that is really hard and difficult in America is finding long care treatment for a person who is struggling with mental health issues who may not have a drug or alcohol addiction. And so, but Honey Lake is a place that does just that. So I would, again, call them, let them know that you heard about them here, and start that process. And just to mirror back to you what you already know, she is in a life-threatening situation. You would move mountains for her health and her vitality. So this is what I would encourage you to do here today. Is that helpful, Tara?
Yes, I'm speaking on behalf of her.
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent.
Very.
So, well, thank you guys so much for calling in today. We'll be in prayer for your daughter. We hope that you can take that next step to get her into the treatment. We're going to send you the Life Recovery Bible as just a resource of appreciation for you and your work. And I just encourage any families out there that are struggling is that mental illness and crisis is not something that just affects the individual. It affects every individual that is lovingly tied to the individual. So we all need help. We all need support. So get in some help and support for yourself as well. We're going to go back to the phones. We're going to go to Shelly in Tulsa, Oklahoma, listening on KWRD. Shelly, are you there?
I am.
What's going on today, Shelly?
Sorry, I have a 25-year-old son residing with me. The reason for my call, to keep it short, he's been non-compliant with medications, diagnosed bipolar by PCP, so that he could get Zoloft, but no serious testing to really get to the bottom of mental illness. Incredible depression, suicidal. What's recently happened is he had COVID, he had 2 strokes, he had a punctured lung, and he is recovering at my home. So all of his underlying conditions have been compounded with his physical health.
Mm-hmm.
So as a caretaker, it is a absolute living nightmare because I'm watching someone self-destruct in front of me.
Yeah.
And uses those things against me. Well, if you don't, he's vaping and he's had a lung surgery. Well, if you have a problem with it, I'll just take you off all of my medical authorizations. Well, he couldn't even tell you where he needs to go and when and what medicine he's taking.
Yeah.
He's had. So there's cognitive deficiencies. There's physical. It's mental. The long and short of it is, I don't know how I'm supposed to be. It's very complicated because you have someone that he constantly lashes out at me. And this is prior to the physical injury.
Yes, for sure. And so, Shelly, what's the question for us? How can we help you today?
What do I do when he's calling me names and screaming and threatening to not go to the doctor, or, just being non-compliant and residing with me and taking everything out on me?
Yeah.
It's like an abusive relationship, but there's really no consequences right now because of all of the seriousness of his condition. He will not go to counseling.
Yeah.
So if you suggest that, that's not going to happen. I barely get him to take his medicine, and that's been a fight.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about life-saving medications.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's a severe alcoholic.
Uh-huh.
He's not drank since we've been home. He has a little bit of limited access because being an alcoholic, he was pretty isolated.
Yeah.
So it's not like he has people
So
providing
Shelly,
it to him.
Shelly, let us jump in here because there is a lot going on. I mean, we can get a picture that goes on and on of all of the suffering and the chaos and the destruction that's going on inside of him, right? And so you're asking a very, very important and key question. What do I do and how do I keep myself safe?
Shelly, are you doing this by yourself or are you married? Who's helping you?
No one.
In this process?
I mean, I'm not trying to sound like a victim. I'm not married. No. I don't have any family here. I live alone. I mean, that's part of the issue. I don't have it. You're going to say, oh, well, reach out to your church family. That's great. I've been off work for 2 months to take care of him. I'm trying to be back at work, and he has an appointment like practically every day. People have to work. People can only be so much of a substitute to family.
Yeah. So Shelly, let me jump in. We understand this situation is incredibly overwhelming. It really is far beyond your capacity and your ability.
Yeah, and I was just trying to find out if you had other support with you, if it was you and someone else together, because I'm hearing what you're saying. You're feeling trapped. You're held captive here, and it's kind of this impossible situation where he needs you to help him, but then he's abusing you emotionally, and you're just super, super stressed here. And so you do need some kind of support, and that may be... maybe he needs a residential treatment program, right? Maybe it's not just counseling because he's going to refuse to go to counseling, and maybe it's not, church-based community to come alongside and help. He needs professional help. But it sounds like you are going to need to take some kind of action that is going to be challenging Because if you don't, you're going to be stuck in this situation.
Right, and what action would that be? Because he's 25. I can't make him do anything.
Well,
he's not going to a residential program.
Yeah, hold
I'm in
on.
Oklahoma.
There's two things you can do, and I'm not saying they'll work, but the next thing you can do is that there's many states that allow you to take over custody of an adult person that is incapacitated.
I'm very familiar with that.
Okay, so
in the state of Oklahoma, it's very complicated. I worked in that system.
Okay, yeah.
So my hands have been tied. I mean, I do have.
For
I'm resourceful.
sure.
Well,
So-
as we go to the break here, Shelly, think about what you're willing to do, and then we'll talk during the break, and then we'll get back with you.
Okay.
Okay, what are you willing to do?
All right, thank you for that. We'll be right back right after this.
Before coming to this weekend, I have been dealing with the guilt and shame of an abortion that I had 20 years ago. And we have 3 awesome kids. But every time I kept getting close to the Lord, kids saying to me, "You're the best mom." That voice in the back said, "You're a horrible mother. Look what you did to that child. You killed somebody. You don't deserve any of this, and you're not worthy." To help free me from my guilt and see that I would not make the same decision today, I would make a different decision, and I am a great mom, and God can use me.
This is Steve Arterburn, and this is the story of a new life. After 20 years of guilt and shame, she attended a workshop and now is free. You can be part of offering hope to others as you step out in faith by donating to New Life Ministries.
To make your tax-deductible gift, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or visit newlife.com and click Donate.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. Chris Williams, Marc Cameron, Jill Hubbard, all here to help you. We have Shelly on the line dealing with an incredibly painful and difficult situation. It's just, these no-win situations with her 25-year-old son. And Marc, you asked her a key question right before the break, and it was, Shelly, what is there something that you are willing to do here?
I will do whatever I need to do, whatever my son needs. But I'm having difficulty in navigating this very complicated physical and mental situation completely on my own. I'm back at work, and I'm struggling to hang on to my job. And, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, and so there's no point both of you falling apart here, or it doesn't help anybody if both of you fall apart. So you may have to make some really kind of challenging decisions here. And when I say what you're willing to do, is your son needs you. And I know it's life-saving medication that he's taking, but I don't think that he wants to die. Otherwise, he wouldn't continue living with you and taking the medication, because he's obviously taking it because he's still alive here. So you may have to think about, a boundary that you set, and maybe it's him moving out and to watch
Where would
that.
he go? That's part of the problem. There's no place for
that's
him to
not
go.
your problem.
But that's the tension.
He has a brain injury. I can't hardly throw my child out who's had a major stroke.
No, I understand that, Shelly. I understand. And as a mother, yes, of course. But all of this acting out behavior that you're seeing, that isn't okay. And so that's when then you have to walk out of the room. You have to refuse to accept that kind of behavior because he does need you. And it sounds like he's not in his right mind. And you have triple threat here. You have the bipolar, you've got the nicotine up and down, and the alcohol abuse, right?
Pills. The first thing he did when he came in from the hospital was take 17 pain pills. So after he had a major fall so we're dealing with those things too. We're dealing with addiction. We're dealing with bipolar. So we're dealing with very fragile physical health.
It's unbelievable what you're having to deal with. We think, we were discussing at the break, you need somebody to walk through it with you because nobody can do this alone. A therapist, a community for you to hold you together.
Well, I would go to counseling, but because of my leave, I have 0 leave at work. All of my leave goes to him and all these dozens of appointments that are coming up.
So Shelly, I just want you to notice something. Our suggestions may not be the best ones. They may not even work, but you're throwing out the exception of why they won't work.
Well, then you tell me how I take off work to go to a counselor.
Well, you don't. What I'm saying is there's counselors out there where you don't have to take off of work.
Well, where at in my area? I would love to know.
I don't know, but we would love to help you to see if in our network that there may be a counselor out there. But what we're suggesting here is that your life has been completely taken over by your son's illness. And what it's done is it's made you both sick. And so what we're asking is that if both of you can't get well, one of you needs to. And we're asking that to be you. And I can't imagine being in your situation. No. I really can't. This is not some pithy suggestion that isn't absolutely heart-wrenching. But from our vantage point, we hear you losing you, and we're like, oh no, we got to get Shelly back. Yeah.
Right, and sometimes the tendency is just to deal with everything that's so urgent, and we then don't equip ourselves to really be able to handle things.
Yeah, for sure.
Right, and so yes, it will take an hour away from your son.
Yeah,
but that hour for you may help you continue to be with your son.
For sure.
I would be willing to do that, but and I'm not trying to put a wrench in, and be difficult. I'm calling out of desperation because
we hear that.
Yeah.
I'm in a rural area where there's limit, and again, I don't have time off work 0 because. Again, I'm trying to hang on to the job itself. So that's another stressor. Well, and I have my own set of health problems.
For sure. And that's what we're saying is Shelly, right now, as hard as it may be, our best suggestion is for you to shift the focus. It doesn't have to be 100%. Shift the focus 20% back to your own health and your own needs. Find out keep looking for the support in your area. Move it a little bit more in that direction because you are in truly a powerless situation with the enormity of your son's struggles.
And Shelly, all of us therapists nowadays, we do, remote sessions.
Yes.
You could stay at home and do a Zoom appointment or a phone appointment.
Yeah.
I know that there have those things, but I just don't know of anything in my area. That's
right, and we can help you.
Here.
We can help you.
Let's see if we can get you connected because you're living
Tulsa's a big area.
Yeah, you're living from a state of survival right now.
That's the town I use because I didn't want to be identified.
Okay,
for sure. But Shelly, hear us out. Zoom means that anyone who's licensed in the entire state of Oklahoma can see you. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to send you a couple of books. We're going to send you Understanding and Loving a Person with Alcoholism and Drug Addiction and Understanding and Loving a Person with Bipolar. We hope that those 2 resources will help you kind of continue to gain a good grasp on what's going on. But stay on the line. We want to connect you with a therapist in your area that can really help support you and help you get a little bit more of yourself back in the midst of this incredibly difficult situation. Thank you for calling in, and we will be back right after this.
We went to the Intimacy and Marriage in 2019. We were both done.
This is Steve Arterburn. Do you feel like your marriage is done? New Life can help. We believe that everybody has room to grow in the intimacy level of their life. Our Intimacy and Marriage Workshop examines the various types of intimacy, spiritual, emotional, and physical, as well as the challenges of experiencing true intimacy.
The next Intimacy and Marriage Workshop is February 16th to the 18th in Orange County, California. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more or go to newlife.com. 1-800-639-5433.
Don't settle for a miserable marriage or even one that's just okay. It's possible to experience a new level of intimacy and have a great marriage.
The transformation, phenomenal. It has transformed our lives so much.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I have given to New Life regularly because I have so many people that I am referring to New Life who so benefit from the ministry. I just can't imagine what would happen in my area if New Life wasn't available to us.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of all 8 100-day devotionals, including 100 Days of Prayer, 100 Days of Freedom from Depression, and 100 Days of Peace. There are also ongoing benefits like the monthly Club New Life CD or download, access to the Club New Life video library, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, discounts on workshops, and quarterly online meetings with Steve. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. Chris Williams, Dr. Jill Hubbard, Marc Cameron, and we're going to go right back to the phone. We're going to go to Grace in Los Angeles, California, listening on KKLA. Grace, are you there?
Oh, hello.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you just fine.
Hi. Hello. Yeah, so I'm just calling, I feel like there's a lot of stuff balled up, but really if I want to cut to the chase about something I'm struggling with right now, it's I have been married to a man who has battled with controlling his alcohol consumption since, before we were married, and he was saved kind of right before he accepted Jesus as Savior, and when we were courting, kind of when we started talking, and then it was like we got engaged really fast, and I knew it was something he struggled with, but I believed as a pretty new Christian, Jesus is going to set him free. And then first year of marriage, it was like, whoa, that did not go as planned, and I had some expectations, and anyhow, so I struggled. And right now, every year we go back, we're both from out of state, and every year we go back home for Christmas, and we go for about a week. And at this point, we have 2 small children, and it's, throughout the week, it's not very severe. It comes in waves of like, oh, here's my boundary, and the boundary is respected with the drinking. And then
okay, yeah, I was going to say, is this in reference to his alcohol use?
Yeah, with alcohol, it's like, and then it gets pushed. It gets pushed and pushed and pushed. But when we go on vacation, there's no boundaries. This is vacation.
And so Grace, let me ask you this. How is his alcohol use impacting you?
It's just been, the trust is, the lack of respect and just feeling very, we have had talks of separation.
No. Hold on. Let me go back to the question. How is it affecting you? You said there's a lack of trust, there's disrespect.
Yeah, it definitely feels like, you know what? Honestly, I want to connect with my husband. I want to, I feel like there's.
So, Grace, can I help you out?
Yeah.
Here's how it's affecting. Okay, here's how it's affecting you. It's creating a tremendous amount of fear. broken trust equals fear. That shows up as anxiety, and probably shows up as a little bit of either avoidance and or control. That you're sitting with a lot of frustration. That you're wondering and wrestling around if he respects you and you respect him, and you're also wondering, because of the lack of connection in your marriage, is if he actually loves you or if you're lovable.
Yeah, and like I know it's so funny. I feel like God, puts you together with. I mean, I don't know if this is for everyone, but it's like my biggest fears are wrapped up in my husband and my biggest love. But I grew up in a home of abandonment, and the only thing I really knew about my dad was he was an alcoholic, and and he was.
And Grace, there is this really, really, really weird thing that goes on inside of us. I don't really think it's all that conscious, but it's strong. And here's the strength. In our adulthood, we're constantly looking to have a corrective experience, i.e. fix our childhood. So what we end up doing is we end up creating the similar scenarios from our childhood, especially in our marriages and our relationships, and trying to fix it, not realizing that we were powerless against the whole situation to begin with, and that we just needed a different way. Not the same way, right? So what's the question for us today? How can we help you?
So, so we go back for Christmas, and I'm just wondering, it's been 4 years, and I mean, I'm an optimist but a realist, I, at this point, understand, it's out of my control, and it's really tricky. I was in Al-Anon, and they'd say, don't, set boundaries you can't keep, but it's at like at Christmas time, is there any boundary? How do I even go about talking to an alcoholic about,
Well, let me start here. Let me start with a great, big, grand, scary, truthful statement. Alcohol use for you and being married to me does not work, period.
Yeah.
Right? Like we don't know if that's going to do anything, but what I want you to hear with that, Grace, is I want you to hear the simplicity and the strength of it. Is that statement true?
Well, I put that out there.
No. Is that true for you? I'm not asking if it does anything for him. I'm asking is it true for you?
So the question is can I be married to someone who consumes alcohol?
No, that's a different question. His alcohol use and being married for you doesn't work. And it's not a question, it's a statement. Is that statement true?
Oh, it's not working for me in the marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, that's your starting point. Jill, what do you think?
I think that is a great starting point, Grace, and I am so glad that you are involved in Al-Anon, because that's exactly where you need to be, to have the ongoing support and to help you stop doing all of these emotional, mental gymnastics with him and trying to get him to comply, but looking more, as Chris said, what works for you and what doesn't work for you. That's a boundary, right? Giving him a boundary, you can't control that. Mm-hmm. But this doesn't work for me. Okay, so if it doesn't work for you, then what does that look like? It may look like when he's drinking, he gets to do it by himself, and the rest of you go off and do the activity. Mm-hmm. That he doesn't get to come and join and wreak havoc or have you feel disrespected, even if it's subtle things that maybe other family members aren't aware of. No. If you'd like to join us and you haven't been drinking, great, we'd love to have you. Yes. However, it doesn't work for me with you drinking.
Yeah, and so you have to have that conversation with him. I would recommend trying to do that when he is sober, obviously. Yes. But if
so
you
that he'll remember.
Yeah, but if you can't, you might have to write a letter And you might have to write these things down, but you have to have some kind of firm boundary here, because when you don't have firm boundaries, when you say we might separate, or, well, it's Christmas, I'll let you do it, that's something called intermittent reinforcement happens, where sometimes the boundary is held and sometimes the boundary is not held. So the person doesn't know when the boundary is going to be held or not. So they'll just keep pushing the boundaries. And he doesn't have the internal motivation to stop drinking, so he needs external motivation created. And you need, as Jill is saying, you need that Al-Anon support to help you, because right now you're in this level of helplessness. And I wonder again if some of that, Chris was talking about our childhoods, right? I wonder if some of that is transference from when you were a kid. You couldn't do anything about your dad's alcoholism, so now you believe, I can't really do anything about my husband's alcoholism. And really you can.
Yes.
But it's learning to be able to, communicate that firm boundary and then follow through with that.
And I think there's a key distinction there. And Jill, you were really hitting on it, because this is, I think, where a lot of people get confused with boundaries. And let me give you an example of me parenting my children. So let's say my son is jumping on the couch and being crazy, and he could break something, including his own bones, And I say, you need to stop doing that. You can't jump on the couch. People say, oh, well, that's a boundary. I'm like, no, that's not. That's a request. A boundary is not what I'm asking him to do. A boundary is something I'm going to do.
Right. It has a limit line.
Yes.
And then there's a consequence for crossing the limit line.
Exactly.
Otherwise, it's not a boundary.
Yes. So a boundary would be, if you continue to jump on the couch and be crazy, I will take away, remember, the me, I. This is what I will do. I will take away your video games for the rest of the day. That's the boundary. So in all of this, Grace, inside of you was this, well, how can I get him to? And I'm like, I would love for that to be the case, but that's not. First principle of recovery, we are powerless against, right? However, in gaining our power back is saying, this is what I'm going to do. I think that there needs to be much greater clarity on what Grace is going to do. That's why we start with a starting point of alcohol abuse and being married to me does not work. So what do I need to do to protect myself from that? So we're going to send you a copy of Understanding and Loving a Person with Alcoholism and Drug Addiction, as well as a copy of Boundaries. And we want to just encourage you, stay in your Al-Anon program. Get connected to a counselor. We can help you do that. Get connected to a counselor in your area who has a specialty in addiction and codependency. Grace, thank you so much for calling in. We're going to go to a break right now, and we'll be back with a final segment.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for over 34 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for your life and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow. Call 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. Again, it's Chris Williams, Dr. Jill Hubbard, Marc Cameron, and we are going to go to our final call today. We're going to go to Mary in Fort Worth, Texas, listening on KWRD. Mary, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Hear you well. How's it going today?
Good, good. Thank you for taking my call.
No problem at all.
Just a little background. I've been married for 20 years, and my husband and I have been separated for about 3 months. The first couple of years of our marriage were pretty hard. He had a drug addiction that I wasn't aware of right around the time of our daughter's birth, so he was absent for that first year. And we stayed married, and then when we conceived our son, he had an emotional affair with his high school girlfriend. So we went to counseling, and I feel like those things sort of remained unresolved. And he wanted to stop counseling and said I needed to quit living in the past and things like that. Fast forward until a couple of years ago, and our daughter was diagnosed with cancer. It was stage 4. So we went through that. She's full remission now. All glory to God. So at that point, I sort of lost my tolerance for any anxiety or stress. I just didn't have the threshold for it. I was in crisis after coming out of all of that, really. So then I insisted that we have to go back to therapy because I just didn't know what else to do. So we started marriage counseling, which quickly ended in him quitting, and I went to individual therapy. It's been over a year now, and through the help of my therapist, we did decide to separate due to emotional abuse, and then in the end, what ended up being physical abuse. And my intention for the separation is always reconciliation. I don't believe in divorce. I don't want divorce. I don't think we've fulfilled the biblical criteria for divorce. So my intention was to separate with the intention of reconciling after he does the work that he needs to do, and I continue to do the work that I need to do. He has some untreated PTSD from childhood sexual abuse.
Okay, so let me jump in. So there's a lot going on with him. We know that through his emotional affairs, his emotional outbursts, as well as his history of drug addiction. But the question for us today, right, is that you guys are separated. You don't want a divorce.
Right.
Okay, and so what's the question for us today?
I don't know what to do next because my goal is reconciliation, and he's made it clear through his actions since we've been separated that I don't really think that's what he wants.
Okay.
So I feel a little stuck. I'm not sure how to go forward with that because, again, I don't think we've met the criteria for a biblical divorce. But at the same time, do I just sit and wait and be alone? And I don't know what to do moving forward.
Yeah.
What is the requirement or the criteria for divorce for you?
What I believe is adultery, and if a non-believing spouse leaves a believing spouse, I think that, as far as I understand it, those are the two requirements.
So let me just kind of reflect back to you. He's addicted. He's not letting that go. He's had an emotional affair. He's been physically and emotionally abusive to you. You've separated as the kind of final limit line here. And he's not he's not willing to reconcile with you. So I understand that you don't want divorce, and we wouldn't want that for you either. But sometimes divorce is the option that is left because the other person doesn't want to engage in a healthy relationship. Because your options then are divorce, continuing in this unhealthy, relationship, or just be by yourself waiting. Well, the other two, are not great options. They're not all fantastic options, but there's, a healthy option for you.
Well, I understand what the healthy option is, but if I want to honor the Lord with my choices and my behavior, then to me, I have to just remain alone and unmarried until I'm presented with proof that I can move forward with a divorce.
Well, Mary, I'm also hearing, though, that it's really not all up to you in this situation.
Right.
Have you asked
otherwise I wouldn't have moved out.
Right. Have you asked your husband what he's willing to do?
He's not willing to do anything.
So what is he?
He wants a divorce.
Okay, so if he divorces you, I mean, he can go do that, and you have no control over that.
But let me also reflect this,
and
Mary.
If he did,
You said you know what the healthy option is. Do you not believe that the Lord wants you to live in health?
I believe that it was not healthy for me to stay. It took a lot of work, hard work, but I understand that now. I understand that the Lord wouldn't want me to live in that situation, and I know that just by the amount of relief and peace that I've obtained by separating. But at the same time, I don't think he wants me to divorce.
So let me just challenge you.
Sure.
Let me just challenge you here. God does hate divorce, but I want to challenge you to just kind of start exploring your paradigm rather than assuming, what you think is correct here. There's a story in the Gospels where the rich young ruler is referred to, comes to Jesus, and he asks these questions, and Jesus gives him an answer, and then he walks away. And the Bible says that Jesus loved him and allowed him to walk away. So, the Lord presents us with options and says, hey, this is the healthy way to live, right? This is the way to live within my kingdom. And if but he also gives us freedom and allows us to walk away. And it sounds like this is,
Well, okay, so Mary,
Sure.
Let me just add one more piece. You can't control your husband divorcing you. You are inviting him into relationship. You are inviting him into health. You are asking him to get help for his childhood sexual abuse and for his issues, and to get help together. He is refusing all of those things. So if he goes and he files and serves you with divorce papers, you will just be the respondent. You just have to follow the court's orders. Do you think your husband divorcing you, that he is going to stay celibate for life?
No,
in divorce?
But I don't. But my salvation is my own to work out. And so if he serves me with divorce papers, I would sign them.
Okay.
But I would likely still feel that I need to remain single.
Sure. Once, though, okay, so he's broken the vows, and once he goes outside of the marriage, right, because you're saying the vows now exist beyond divorce. And I really struggled with this in divorce, Mary, and someone described it to me as if you're both holding two sides of a wishbone, and the other person breaks it away. Do you still have a wishbone, right? And so once that person acts out sexually outside the marriage, they've committed adultery against the vows right there.
Right.
Well, and Mary, I just want to add one more clarifying thing, and that is this. What in essence you're saying without saying it, and I know the struggle is deeper than this, but God is going to be disappointed with me because of my husband's decisions. Huh?
No.
But no, hold on.
I
know, but hold on. Okay. We want you to understand and connect with this. I'm almost out of time here, but this is important. You're powerless against what your husband is deciding. I want you to return to the fact of what Marc was pointing to. God loves and cares for you and is going to walk this out with you in wisdom, as he does for all of us. We're going to send you a copy of Take Your Life Back, and we're going to wish you well, and we're going to wish God well for all of us. Thank you for being with us.
We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again on Monday for New Life Live.
Thanks for watching today. We love helping people. I hope you sense that. And we know that there's always hope if you find the right resource. Now, if something we've said to somebody else applies to you, that's fantastic. That's what we're hoping for. But also, if you want to join us directly, you can call 1-800-229-3000 between 1 and 3 Eastern Time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Those are the best times to get through. And while you're here on YouTube, check out these other videos that we've done to help people see where they could grow or a different path to take. And if you do that, would you give us a thumbs up on the video, and please subscribe to this channel. There are many ways that we can help you outside of the radio program, and it's very hard for some to pick up a phone and dial 1-800-NEW-LIFE. But when you do, we put you in touch with somebody who cares about you, knows all the resources out there, and they're going to find the best for you. There is no reason to struggle alone. I hope to see you tomorrow. Hope you'll invite somebody else to come and join that maybe needs just a little bit of help along the way. I'll see you next time.